So, what's the absolute best fuel for your body? Is it carbs, for that explosive, high octane power? Or is it fat for that steady, long haul endurance? Honestly, it's the core question every single athlete wrestles with. In this explainer, we're going to cut through all the noise, all the hype, and go straight to the data to find out what's really going on.
Here's the game plan for how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at our body's two main fuels. Then we'll dive into a really key scientific idea called the crossover concept. From there, we'll use that to tackle the whole fat adaptation debate, check out what the latest studies actually show, and finally, we'll put it all together so you can fuel smarter for whatever your sport is. Ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, let's look at the options your internal engine, your body, actually has to work with. Your body is this incredible piece of machinery, a master of energy management, and it's got two very, very different fuel sources at its disposal. And that, of course, brings us to the big question: carbs or fat? Which one is the ultimate fuel? Well, the truth is, it's not nearly that simple. The best fuel really depends entirely on the situation, specifically on the intensity of the work you're asking your body to do. Think of it like this. Your body has two completely different fuel tanks. The first one, your carbohydrate tank, is stored as something called glycogen in your muscles and liver. It's kind of like a small reserve of high-octane racing fuel. It burns incredibly fast, it powers those super intense efforts, but you'll run out of it pretty quickly. Now, on the other hand, your fat tank? It's enormous. I mean, even the leanest athletes out there have enough fat to fuel themselves for days of exercise. It's this dense, slow-burning, and super efficient fuel, absolutely perfect for long-duration, lower-intensity activity. So, how does your body decide which tank to pull from? I mean, what's the mechanism? Well, the answer lies in this really brilliant physiological process that governs the fuel switch with remarkable precision. It's called the crossover concept. It's this groundbreaking theory that was first laid out by researchers Brooks and Mercier. And it gives us this perfect framework for understanding exactly how and why your body switches its preferred fuel source while you exercise. And the idea is actually beautifully simple. When you're just moving at a low intensity, think a casual walk or a really easy jog, your body is primarily burning fat. But as you start to pick up the pace and the intensity rises, your metabolism crosses over to start burning more and more carbohydrates to meet that rapidly increasing energy demand. And this graph right here visualizes that switch perfectly. So as you follow the graph from left to right, you can see the exercise intensity is going up. Now watch that blue line. That's your fat utilization. See how it starts high and then just drops off? Okay, now look at the red line for carbs. It does the exact opposite. It just surges upwards. That spot where they intersect, that is the key. It's the crossover point, the precise moment your body's engine switches from primarily burning fat to burning carbs. So naturally, this led to a really tantalizing idea in the world of sports performance. People started asking, what if we could hack this system? What if we could train our bodies to burn more fat, even at higher intensities, and save our limited carb stores? And that, right there, is the heart of the fat adaptation debate. See, fat adaptation is a metabolic shift. It's usually brought on by following a very low-carb, high-fat diet. The theory is that by restricting carbohydrates, you basically force your body to upgrade its fat-burning machinery, making it way more efficient at using fat for fuel across a much wider range of intensities. Sounds pretty good, right? So what does the data actually say about this? Well, it's a bit of a yes-but situation. The research absolutely confirms that these diets do increase your body's rate of fat oxidation. That part is true. But, and this is the crucial part, multiple studies have found this doesn't consistently translate to better performance. For instance, in a landmark study on elite racewalkers, a high-fat diet actually impaired their exercise economy. And what that means is their bodies needed more oxygen just to hold the same pace. For you, the athlete, that just feels like a higher heart rate and working a whole lot harder for the exact same result. This research really suggests that the ultimate goal isn't metabolic rigidity, forcing your body to rely on just one fuel, but actually metabolic flexibility. This is the ability to seamlessly and efficiently switch between burning fats and burning carbs using the right fuel at the right time. It's about having a hybrid engine, not just a diesel one. All right, let's really put these concepts to the test and dive deeper into the data. This is where we get to see the theories play out in cold, hard numbers. Okay, now this data table might look a little complex at first, but it tells us something absolutely fascinating.
Just look at the number where glycogen reserves and fat oxidation intersect. Negative 0.762. In the world of statistics, that is a powerful negative link. So what does it actually mean? It means the less carbohydrate you have available, the worse your body becomes at burning fat. You heard that right. You actually need carbs to burn fat efficiently. They aren't two separate systems. They are deeply, deeply connected. So let's forget about diet for a second. Can training itself make you a better fat burner? This chart gives us a crystal clear answer. On the left, you see the active trained group, and on the right, the sedentary group. And look at that difference in their ability to oxidize fat. It is huge. The takeaway here is simple. One of the most powerful things you can do to enhance your body's fat-burning engine is just consistent endurance training. But here's where it gets even more interesting and specific. Does the type of training you do matter? A study by Stanzioni and colleagues decided to investigate exactly that, whether the crossover point is different for athletes from various sports. And the answer they found was a resounding yes. So this table from their study shows the average time it took for different athletes to hit their crossover point during a standardized test. Now look at this difference. The runners, who specialize in that steady-state endurance, took the longest to switch over to carb dominance, 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Now compare that to the CrossFit athletes, whose sport is all about high-intensity bursts. They hit their crossover point way faster, at just 3 minutes and 1 second. This is amazing. It brilliantly illustrates how your body literally adapts its fuel strategy to the specific demands of your sport. So what do we do with all this awesome information, right? How do we turn all this science into a smarter training and fueling plan? Let's bring it all home. Okay, let's just pull all this data together into a few key principles you can take with you. First, and this is the most important one, intensity is the king. It's what drives fuel selection. Second, yes, training absolutely makes you a better fat burner, but primarily at those lower sustainable intensities. Third, when you need to go hard and perform at a high level, carbohydrates are simply non-negotiable. Fourth, your sport literally shapes your metabolism. And finally, the ultimate goal isn't some rigid fat adaptation. It's metabolic flexibility, being that hybrid engine that can use the best fuel for whatever job you throw at it. So why does all this matter? Well, because understanding your sport's unique metabolic signature lets you stop guessing with your nutrition and start training with precision. It lets you build a strategy that's informed by real data, and believe me, that gives you a massive competitive edge. So we're going to leave you with this final question. Based on all the data we just looked at, take a second to really think about the demands of your own activities. Is your sport fueled by a long, slow burn of fat? Or does it depend on the high-octane power of carbohydrates? Answering that question is truly the first step toward unlocking your real potential.